If you'd told me that I'd want to give up my own child, I'd have laughed. I was never the kind of woman who quit. But pain changes people. And mine came wrapped in a blanket with hospital tags. First of all, thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. Hi, I'm Anna. 34, wife, marketer by trade, and, until recently, someone who thought life had finally played fair. After 3 years of bruising doctor visits, hopeful charts, and pregnancy tests that stared back blankly, I got the news we never thought we'd hear: I was pregnant. Naturally. No needles, no clinics, no whispered prayers in waiting rooms. Just pregnant. My husband, Daniel, nearly dropped the phone when I told him. He came rushing home from work like the house was on fire, burst through the door, and kissed me so hard he knocked the breath out of my lungs. Then he got down on his knees and kissed my belly like a cartoon prince. I told you, he whispered, voice cracking. I told you it would happen. And it did. With swollen ankles, hormonal meltdowns, and nightly peanut butter cravings that turned our pantry into a protein bunker, the pregnancy flew by in a blur. But every ache, every sleepless night, every anxious call to the OB felt like a trophy. We were finally in the winner's circle. The delivery? A hurricane. I won't glamorize it. I screamed. I cursed. I told Daniel if he ever touched me again I'd make sure it was the last thing he did. But then she arrived. Our daughter. All 6 pounds and 11 ounces of pink, squishy defiance. I remember the nurse placing her in my arms. I expected fireworks. Angels singing. At the very least, a tear. But there was nothing. Just a quiet, awkward stillness. I looked down at her little face, squinted shut like she couldn't bear to look at the world just yet, and I thought, I don't know you. I don't feel anything. I told myself it was the meds. The exhaustion. That I just needed time. That night, while Daniel snored on the recliner, she cried. And cried. And cried. The kind of cry that frays your nerves like old rope. The nurse came in, checked her, changed her, swaddled her. Nothing helped. She just wants her mama, the nurse said gently, placing her back in my arms. I held her. She kept screaming. Something inside me went cold. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. The exhaustion crept into my bones, made a home in my spine, and curled its fingers around my brain. On the third morning, a doctor walked in with a look I'll never forget. The kind that told me before he opened his mouth that the storm had arrived. Anna, he said softly, we found something. Cancer. Stage 2. Aggressive. It's funny what your brain does in moments like that. It doesn't panic. It makes lists. Tell mom. Check insurance. Figure out daycare. Wait. No. Give her up. That one wasn't on the list. I didn't put it there. But there it was, circling like a vulture. She deserves better than this. Than you. Daniel didn't know what I was thinking. Not yet. He just held me. Cried. Promised we'd fight. But that night, when he finally fell asleep again, I stood over the crib, staring at her. She looked so peaceful. So unaware of what she had landed into. And I thought, I can't do this. Not like this. Chemo started 2 weeks after I came home. The same week she smiled for the first time. At least, that's what Daniel said. I was too busy dry heaving into a toilet and pretending it was bravery. They tell you to accept help. Let people in. Let them carry you. What they don't tell you is how humiliating it feels to watch someone else become your child's favorite. How gutting it is to see her stop crying when he picks her up, but wail harder when you try. Daniel was incredible. Gentle, patient, tireless. And every time I watched him soothe her, a tiny voice inside me whispered, she doesn't need you. He's enough. By the time my hair started falling out, I was already cataloging reasons she'd be better off without me. I couldn't feed her. I couldn't hold her for long. I was too tired to sing to her. I was too sad to love her the way she deserved. Daniel never judged me. Not once. That made it worse. His eyes held nothing but support. But his silence? It made space for my shame to stretch its legs. I started to withdraw. Missed feedings. Faked sleep. Cried in the shower so the water could wash it away before he saw. He'd bring the baby to me, gently suggest, maybe she wants you, and I'd panic. I didn't want to hold her. That scared me. Worse, I didn't trust myself not to drop her. One night, I opened my laptop and typed into a search engine. Can you put a baby up for adoption after birth? Click. Scroll. And there it was. An agency. Friendly logo. Reassuring copy. A form. I filled it out. Just to see. I told myself it was about options. About protecting her future. The next morning, I got a voicemail. Soft-spoken woman. Said her name was Kara. Said she was here to help. That she'd worked with mothers in transitional circumstances. Transitional. It sounded so tidy. So unmessy. Unlike me. I listened to that message 5 times. That night, Daniel walked in while I was staring at my phone. My finger hovered over Kara's number. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I lied. Just checking work emails. He kissed my forehead. I flinched. And I knew. It was starting to show. 2 days later, I called Kara back. We met at a neutral location. A coffee shop far enough from the house that I could pretend it wasn't real. She was kind. Wore a warm sweater, no clipboard. Didn't judge me, not once. She asked about my daughter like she was a real person, not a case. I told her I wasn't sure. That I might be wasting her time. She said, mothers don't waste my time. Confused or clear, you're still her mother. I broke down. Right there in public, in front of a half-eaten muffin and a woman I had known for 20 minutes. She handed me a napkin, not a tissue. Something about that felt more human. I didn't sign anything that day. But I didn't delete her number either. That night, Daniel found me staring at our baby again. You look like you're somewhere else lately, he said. I think I am, I whispered. He didn't ask where. He didn't push. He just wrapped his arms around me and held me so gently I almost believed I wasn't breaking. But I was. And something inside me knew it wouldn't be long before the cracks gave way. Met with Kara again a week later. I told Daniel I had a follow-up with the oncologist. It wasn't a total lie. I did have one. Just not that day. Kara took me to a quiet park. The kind with ducks and picnic benches and a strange sense of stillness that made your thoughts louder. She came prepared. Brought a folder. Inside were photos. Couples. Families. Stories in short paragraphs. Smiling faces looking back at me from matte-finished pages. These are just profiles, she said gently. Only if you're ready. I stared at them like they were auditioning for a role I was supposed to play. One couple stood out. A teacher and a nurse. No kids. Couldn't have any. They'd been trying for 8 years. They looked kind. I closed the folder. I don't know what I'm doing, I told her. That's okay, she said. You don't have to know yet. But the seed had been planted. And once planted, seeds grow. Even the ones you hope will die. That night, I sat in the nursery alone. Rocking in a chair I hadn't used since she came home. She was asleep in the crib. Daniel had finally convinced me to rest after another round of chemo had flattened me. And then something happened. She made a sound. A tiny coo. It wasn't remarkable. It wasn't even loud. But it made me look up. And when I did, she was staring at me. Not blinking. Just looking. As if she finally saw me. And then, with no fanfare or warning, she smiled. I froze. My body didn't know how to react. But my heart? My heart cracked wide open. That night, I held her. Really held her. Not like a chore. Not like a burden. Like my daughter. And I cried. For the first time since she was born, I let it out. The guilt. The grief. The resentment. The raw, ugly shame. Daniel found me there hours later. Holding her. Crying. Smiling through tears. He didn't speak. Just knelt down beside me and kissed my hand. She knows you, he whispered. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Because the next morning, while making coffee, Daniel looked up at me and said something I never saw coming. Anna, if you want to give her up, I'll fight you. We stood there, kitchen silent, the smell of burnt toast filling the air between us. What did you say? I asked, like I hadn't heard him. Like if he repeated it, it wouldn't hit as hard. I said, he repeated, voice low, even, calm, I will fight you. If you try to give her away. I stared at him. My Daniel. The man who kissed my forehead when I cried, who slept in hospital chairs, who bought 3 different baby carriers because he couldn't decide which would be gentlest on my back. You knew, I said. He nodded. How long? Since the coffee shop. I followed you. I was worried. I didn't know where you were going. I didn't know what burned more. The fact that he followed me, or the fact that he was right to. You think I'm a bad mother, I said. No, he snapped. I think you're broken. And I think you're scared. But you're not bad. Anna, God, you're not bad. I didn't speak. Couldn't. My throat was raw from holding back words I didn't have the courage to say. Daniel walked over, leaned against the counter, and for the first time, he looked tired. Not physically. Emotionally. The kind of tired you don't sleep off. I didn't tell you, he said, because I didn't want you to feel cornered. But I need you to hear this now. I won't lose her. And I won't lose you. I hated how much that made me cry. We didn't fix it that day. You don't fix something like that with one conversation and a cup of coffee. But it was a start. In the weeks that followed, I started showing up. Not always. Not perfectly. But I was there. 4 feedings. 4 diaper changes. For tiny giggles in the early hours of dawn. Daniel and I fought sometimes. Gently. Carefully. Like people who know they're both bleeding. But we also laughed. The kind of laughter that bursts out after days of silence, like a leak in the dam. We had bad days. Chemo wiped me out. Some nights, I couldn't hold her. Daniel would carry her into the bedroom, and I'd just lie there, listening to them. Other nights, I rocked her until my arms ached. One morning, I got out of bed before the sun. I made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table and wrote. Not for work. Not for anyone. Just for me. I wrote her name. Over and over. Like if I filled the page with it, it would plant deeper in me. Sophie. That was her name. I started calling her that more often. Saying it out loud. Letting it feel real. I told Kara I needed more time. She understood. Whatever you need, she said. I could hear the relief in her voice, too. Like maybe she was rooting for me more than she let on. I joined a support group. All online. Other moms who had battled postpartum depression, illness, loss. Some were better. Some were still lost. But they listened. That was enough. One woman messaged me privately after a session. Said, "You sound like you're on the edge. But you're facing the right direction." That stuck with me. Daniel and I started leaving notes for each other again. On mirrors. On coffee mugs. Little things. "You survived yesterday. You can do it again. She has your nose. Lucky girl. We're not perfect. But we're still standing." And then, one night, Sophie cried. Not a wail. Just a soft fuss. I beat Daniel to the crib. She blinked up at me, confused, half asleep. And then she said it. "Mama." Like a whisper. Like a question. I didn't cry this time. I smiled. The kind of smile that aches in your cheeks. "Yeah," I said, "Mama's here." I didn't miss it. I was here. People like to end stories at the high point. The breakthrough. The smile. The word mama. But life doesn't end there. It keeps going. And so did we. Sophie turned 1 in the spring. The cherry blossoms bloomed late that year, like they waited for her. We threw a party in the backyard. Small. Close friends. My hair was growing back. Awkwardly, in tufts, like a fuzzy dandelion. Daniel called me his punk rock wife. Sophie tried cake for the first time. She hated it. Made a face so dramatic you'd think we fed her battery acid. We caught it on video. I must have watched it 20 times. We took photos. I looked tired in all of them. But I was in them. Present. Holding her. Smiling with real teeth, not the rehearsed ones I wore for months. And then came the test results. Clear. No sign of cancer. Just white space where fear used to be. Daniel cried. I didn't. I think I'd used up all my tears by then. But I felt something deeper. A settling. Like my bones remembered they were mine. We drove home in silence. Not the heavy kind. The kind where music would be too much, and silence said everything. I called Kara. She's still yours, she said, voice thick. You made it. Not alone, I told her. She mailed Sophie a book. One of those soft-touch board books that babies like to chew on. It had a note tucked inside. You were always wanted. Always loved. Especially by the woman who almost let you go. I kept that note. It's in Sophie's baby box. Along with the hospital bracelet, a lock of her hair, and a photo of Daniel and me on the day we brought her home. I added the positive test, too. The one I took in the bathroom at 6:17 a.m., when the world tilted just a little. Some nights, I still feel the shadow of it all. When she cries in the dark and I jolt awake with that old fear, what if I can't do this? But then I hear Daniel whisper, we've done harder. And Sophie reaches up for me. And I remember. I almost gave her away. Almost. But I didn't. And slowly, motherhood stopped feeling like a performance. It became something quieter. Like breathing. Some days it was deep and full. Other days it was shallow and gasping. But I kept going. Sophie started walking late. Daniel worried. I didn't. I figured we were a family of late bloomers. She wobbled across the living room one night, giggling at nothing. I caught her before she face-planted into the coffee table. She thought it was hilarious. I thought it was holy. She called Daniel, Dada, and then me, Anna, for 2 straight months. We let it go. Pick your battles. Then one rainy Thursday morning, while I was buckling her into the car seat, she touched my face with her chubby hand and said, clear as sky. Mama. Like it had always been there, waiting. I didn't cry. I smiled. Then drove to daycare like it was a normal day. Because it was. And wasn't. Both at once. Eventually, I went back to work. Part-time. The team threw a welcome back lunch. Someone brought cupcakes. I ate too. No guilt. I got tired easier. My body had been through war. But I wore my exhaustion like armor. Proof I'd survived. Daniel and I went on a date for the first time in over a year. A real one. We both dressed up. I wore lipstick. He opened my door like he was still trying to win me over. "You're glowing," he said. "That's just the chemo blush," I joked. He laughed too hard. We both did. It felt good. We talked about trying again someday. Not soon. But maybe. For now, we were enough. We were more than enough.